The Effects of Aversive Procedures in Our Society by Mia Brown. An aversive procedure is implementation of a strongly undesired stimuli used to reduce or terminate a behavior. Physical discomfort, emotional pain, the loss of pleasurable items, or fines are all aversive techniques that function to teach a lesson to an individual who has engaged in wrongdoing. Spanking. In 1867, the New York Times declares New Jersey the first state to prohibit corporal punishment in schools. As of 2017, 4 states do not mention corporal punishment within their state laws. 3 states are anti-corporal punishment, but teachers may use a reasonable degree of force on students. 15 states are pro-corporal punishment, and 28 states prohibit the use of corporal punishment in schools. North Carolina being one of the 15 states that permits corporal punishment in schools. At Robinson High School in the state of North Carolina, corporal punishment is defined as the intentional infliction of physical pain upon the body of a student as a disciplinary measure. According to the American Society for Positive Care of Children, physical abuse is defined as any intentional, non-accidental physical injury to a child, including striking, kicking, burning, biting, cutting, poking, twisting limbs, shaking, throwing, or torturing a child. If one were to follow Robbinsville High School's definition of corporal punishment and discipline a child leaving bruises, would this become physical abuse? A man in North Carolina left his 10-year-old son limping with bruises on his legs and feet. Reports say the boy received a spanking for not eating his pizza at dinner time. The father's defense attorney, Katie Dickinson, argued that this form of corporal punishment was not abuse. It was his right as a parent. Dickinson went on to say that the bruises went away after a few days. Banning the use of corporal punishment would create a clear definition for teachers, parents, and society. Alan Kasdan, a Yale University psychology professor, sends an enlightening message to advocate for those in favor of ending corporal punishment in schools. You cannot punish out these behaviors that you do not want. There is no need for corporal punishment based on research. We are not giving up an effective technique. We are saying this is a horrible thing that does not work. Behavior analysis is expanding, and more behavior analysts are integrating into public school systems. One should bear in mind the behavior analyst's responsibility to clients, Guideline 2, and the behavior analyst and the workplace Guideline 6. Treatment Efficacy 2.10b states, clients have a right to effective treatment based on the research literature and adapted to the individual client. A great deal of research is available supporting the ban of corporal punishment, which is why behavior analysts' motivation to remain current is imperative. If any conflicts with the organization arise, core ethical principle, pursuit of excellence, and Guideline 6.06 would be points of reference. Guideline 6.06, conflicts with organizations, states, if the demands of an organization with which behavior analysts are affiliated conflict with these guidelines, behavior analysts clarify the nature of the conflict, make known their commitment to these guidelines, and to the extent feasible, seek to resolve the conflict in a way that permits the fullest adherence to these guidelines. Arming school teachers. In more recent news, politicians have discussed arming school teachers with guns to ward off students who intend to endanger the lives of their classmates. In 1997, Joel Merrick, who served as high school assistant principal and military veteran, claims to have heard gunshots and saw bodies lying on the floor after Luke Woodham, a high school junior, began shooting. Woodham killed 2 students and injured 7 others. In Woodham's attempt to flee the scene, he hit a tree. Merrick seized a gun from his vehicle and pointed it at the student's head until authorities arrived. Many people say school shootings wouldn't happen if we had more teachers carrying weapons. While the bravery of Merrick does not go unnoticed, the responsibility of teachers being forced into the role that Merrick played, and the possibility that further steps need to be taken to secure the safety of innocent lives is not something most teachers are willing to do. Teachers throughout the United States completed a poll regarding the idea of training educators and other staff members to carry guns in schools. 73% of teachers oppose this intervention, and 58% say it would make schools less safe. The National Rifle Association often uses the slogan, "To stop a bad guy with a gun, it takes a good guy with a gun." In the case of school shootings, President Donald Trump and the NRA believed the good guys are teachers and staff members. To believe that a person is trustworthy based on their job title is foolish. On April 20th, 2018, Latifah Muhammad reported about an elementary school teacher in Memphis, Tennessee, who dragged a 7-year-old child off of a bus by his feet. March 7th, 2018. News broke of an Orange County, Florida weightlifting coach allegedly selling Viagra and steroids to students. March 1st, 2018. Jamie Micklethwaite reported on a married middle school teacher who allegedly had a sexual relationship with her 14-year-old student. So what if the good guys can't be trusted either? Florida recently passed a law allowing certain staff members to carry guns with approval from the school district and the local sheriff. As behavior analysts are integrating into school systems, these new policies and procedures will impact their lives. A behavior analyst carrying a weapon may not be the most approachable person in the school district. It may be aversive to other students whose trust the armed professionals are trying to gain, and not aversive at all to a raging, mentally and emotionally unbalanced student who feels he or she has nothing to lose. For this reason, BCBAs and BCABAs should be mindful of the behavior analyst and the workplace. Guideline 6, specifically, conflicts with organizations, 6.06. If an organization's demands to be the designated gunman hampers the implementation of a behavior analytic programming, the BCBA attempts to eliminate the environmental constraints, which refers to environmental conditions that hamper implementation, 4.03. Further food for thought: if the gunman was a client, would it be unethical to use a weapon with intent to harm him or her? Should less restrictive procedures be attempted first? Procedures for reducing self-stimulation. Approximately 90% of children with autism live with sensory abnormalities. Topography of undersensitivity could be self-injurious behaviors or staring at bright lights. On the opposite end of the spectrum would be oversensitivity. This could be displayed as avoiding touch or wearing noise-canceling headphones. Self-stimulation, or stimming, is behavior produced for escape or automatic reinforcement. Stimming functions as a way to block bad sensory input with good sensory input. This behavior may appear to be peculiar. Some of the most common forms of self-stimulation include hand flapping, rocking, spinning, and smelling behaviors, to name a few. I included this quote by Amethyst Shaver, a blogger with autism who openly discusses and responds to autism spectrum disorder and questions. A child who is sitting in their classroom and there are fluorescent lights overhead and they're flickering terribly and making you nauseous, and all the kids around you are whispering or chewing gum, and the noises are getting to you, and you've been sitting for 2 hours and you don't know what you're going to do. You can self-regulate by rocking at your desk. Some behavior analysts create procedures that are intended to abolish this act of self-regulation. Athens, Vollmer, and Sloman used a multiple treatment reversal design to study an 11-year-old male with Down syndrome and autism who frequently spoke out of context and displayed repetitious and unintelligible verbal behavior. The parent's goal was for the participant to play alone without engaging in high levels of vocal stereotypy. During the intervention, if vocal stereotypy occurred within 5 seconds of a demand being placed, another demand was delivered. If vocal stereotypy occurred again within 5 seconds of the delivery of the repeated demand, response cost was implemented, and the participant lost access to a toy for 10 seconds. Results showed a decrease in stereotypy. Researchers suggest that the loss of a highly reinforcing item may be more controlling than the automatically reinforced behavior. One issue with this study is that no alternatives were provided for this child. It is recommended to redirect and provide an alternative behavior when it is necessary to calm stereotypy. This brings me to my second issue. The parent's goal was to significantly reduce vocal stereotypy during playtime. This behavior was not interfering with learning. It was peculiar behavior that was embarrassing or annoying to the parents. Guideline 4 acts as a reminder that behavior analysts develop behavior change programs that teach new, appropriate, adaptive behaviors using non-harmful reinforcers whenever possible. And punishment procedures should always be the last resort. Also, remember the core ethical principle: treating others with caring and compassion. As long as behavior analysts are treating others with dignity, creating programs to benefit the life of the client, and allowing clients some autonomy within their individualized programs, the core ethical principle, treating others with caring and compassion, is being fulfilled. As future behavior analysts, we have an ethical responsibility to the field of behavior analysis to disseminate knowledge to the public and to be familiar with these guidelines. It is our responsibility to pursue excellence in order to advocate for our clients who are often unable to advocate for themselves. The purpose of this presentation was to further the knowledge of the listener on reasons why aversive techniques should not be used. Thank you for listening.